Good afternoon and welcome to the 2023 Outstanding Business Leader Honoree Virtual Symposium. I'm Professor Jim Hopp, the Chair of the Entrepreneurship and Franchising Management Programs here at Northwood University. It's truly an honor for me to be emceeing this event today. The Outstanding Business Leader Awards are presented by Northwood University Board of Trustees. Each recipient is selected on the basis of personal achievement that typifies the unique philosophy of Northwood University. Criteria used in the selection of awardees includes a contribution to the philosophy of private enterprise, support of the integration of business and the arts, contribution to education, economic innovation, creative marketing ideas, community involvement, religious leadership, philanthropic contributions, and business success. The annual Outstanding Business Leader Awards program was developed by Dr. Arthur E. Turner, co-founder of Northwood University, and was established by the Board of Trustees in 1981. Outstanding business leaders play an integral role in the preparation of future business leaders of a global free enterprise society by providing inspiration, mentorship, and scholarship to Northwood University students. Net proceeds from the annual gala support outstanding business leader endowed scholarships at Northwood University. So it's my pleasure today to introduce you to our excellent awardees. I'll be introducing each awardee, and I'll also announce the student who will be presenting them at the gala a month from today. Our first awardee is Grant Baidas of General RV and the Exchange Bar and Grill. His student presenter will be Swantnil Moore. Our next honoree is Fred Bunting, founder and chairman, AutoWares Group of Companies. His student presenter will be Cole Briggs. Our next honoree, who is unable to be with us today, is Vinnie Johnson, founder and chairman of the Piston Group. His presenter will be Maisie Taylor. Our next honoree is Andre Lopez, president and CEO of OI Glass Incorporated. His student presenter will be Addison Lauren. Our next honorees are Michael and Dianne Morey, founders of Bandit Industry, Inc. Annalisa Ferguson will be their student presenter. And our final honoree is Gina Thorsen, CEO of Jacquart Fabric Products. And her student presenter is Daniel Wynn. First of all, let me say congratulations to our honorees for your selection to the Outstanding Business Leaders. It's a well-deserved award, and we thank you so much for giving up your time today for our virtual symposium. Now, let's take a little bit of time and get to know our honorees. We've got a series of questions that we're going to be asking our honorees, and we're looking forward to the insight that we'll learn from them. Grant, let's start with you. Our topic is risk-taking. As a successful leader, have you had to take risks in your career? Would you mind sharing an example, including what you did and what you learned about it yourself?
Well, I want to say hello to everyone, and thank you very much for having me. Very honored to be among all these great and successful people. But yeah, I think, like obviously with coming from General RV Center and starting my background there and kind of born into it being a family business. I would say I took a big risk in 2020 in stepping out and bought a restaurant during a pandemic, which everyone thought was crazy, but it was in my hometown and I believed in it. And it's where my wife and I want to raise our family. So I took a risk. I had a vision. I wanted to expand it. I saw a great opportunity for growth, adding a second story, rooftop bar, and really wanted to just kind of step out and create something my own. I think that goes back to, getting an entrepreneurship degree from Northwood, and everything I've learned at that wonderful university. And that really is what made me take this risk. I mean, from contractors to my lawyers to everyone telling me I was absolutely crazy to be dumping this money into a place and doing all this at that time. But I had a vision and I stuck with that. And so I think like I would say that was a big risk, because obviously it wasn't just building another dealership or adding to an existing business. It was stepping out on my own and starting something brand new. And I think with any reward, you have to take a risk, obviously educated risk, and making sure you have a plan and you know what you're doing. Obviously, there were some hiccups on the way, going through small city planning, different boards, from councils to planning commissions to zoning to building to all that. And you're in a time where the supply chain was very different. So, I pulled the trigger on a lot of things to made sure I had the supply, the steel, all my workers in place. So when we were ready to open, we could open. So I think it was, when you talk about risk, I think it was a big risk because it was kind of an unknown, but it was something I was very passionate about and something that excited me. I love building and growing things, and I love working with people, customer service. So I think with that, has been a big reward, and it's, been stressful, but it's been fun at the same time. So I believe I think with anything comes risk. It doesn't matter if it's business or personal. I think you can value risk or define risk in many different ways, depending on your industry or what you're doing. But as far as in the business, I think it was a big leap to, step outside of my comfort zone, and by no means I do have some experience in the industry and everything. I studied it. I worked for a couple people, in my late 20s, early 30s, just on the side, just busting tables, even though I had working at General RV, running stores, had a great corporate job. But I would do this in my off time just to kind of learn what people are doing. And that allowed me, when I bought this place and redid it and changed the name and grew it, allowed me to be successful. And, I took a risk on a lot of new people, giving them the chance, whether it's their first job or they're changing industries. I believe certain things can be taught. I believe leadership, motivation, and, leading by example are tough things to teach. I wasn't worried if they were in the industry or not. I know I can teach them the industry, but I can't teach certain things. So I made sure to always surround myself with good people and treat my team with respect. I always say you got to work 10 times harder than anyone else in the building. But it's been fun, so I think, scary, endless nights where you're wondering if, why are you doing this? Are you doing the right thing? But I think you're going to have your ups and downs as long as you stay true to your core values and your mission, and you have a clear direction, and your staff knows your clear direction, and you take care of customers. We focus on customer service, quality, and consistency are my three biggest things. And if we do those things very, very well, I believe we can create a sustainable business for generations to come. And I think that's really what I enjoy, is that challenge. And with all that, I think comes risk, So, in short terms, I don't want to go over my minutes here, so because I'm more intrigued to learn and hear everyone else speak. But it was stepping outside my comfort zone to wrap it up, and doing something different. But again, I think going back to Northwood, that's what pushes me and motivates me, is everything I've learned there, especially in entrepreneurship, is that challenge. And without risk, there's no reward. But you have to stick true to your values and your mission and the direction you want to go, and don't give up on it, and just keep working hard and being able to change and adapt on the fly. And make sure you have great people, I think all are contributing factors to everything that's been allowed me to have success with my new venture and everything, especially coming from an established business that now has grown into a very large private company. This has been a lot different because I didn't have offices to walk down to for, say, HR or accounting or anything like that. It was all me at the beginning, and it still kind of is, which is fun because I believe once you know, and I'm sure many of these other fantastic honorees can contest to that, is like, unless you know everything from inside out, like I learned at General, I mean, there's no way you can be a successful leader or even an effective leader without knowing, every aspect of your business.
Thank you, Grant. Truly was a risk to jump into a restaurant bar in the middle of COVID. So
yeah.
I'm happy to hear that that's working out. And thank you so much for your answer.
Thank you very much.
Let's move to Andre next. Andre, the topic is moving on up. Has your career been a ladder or a jungle gym? Can you explain your path, including your range of jobs or careers that you've had?
Thanks, Jim, and hello, everyone. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to join all of you today. When I look at my career, while my career has had characteristics of a ladder, it looks to me and feels to me more like a jungle gym. I've been at OI my entire 40-year career, and I started back in Medellin, Colombia. That's back in 1983 as a full-time intern as an engineering student. And I never left the company. I'm still here and enjoying every day of my work at the company. I always plan for the next steps in my career, the next role, the next activity I was going to be involved on. And most of the time, that next step was very, very different. Now, every role was quite rich in experiences that contributed a lot to my development. And when I look at the range of jobs I've been involved on, it starts with that intern shop floor job, which is the lowest level you can engage in as an engineer in a corporation like this one, all the way to president and CEO of OI Glass at this point in time, as well as director of a couple of public U.S. corporations. Now, I had many roles in between, and some examples of that are mold shop supervisor, machine shop supervisor, production manager, plant manager, country general manager, VP of regional finance and administration, global manufacturing and engineering vice president, president Latin America, president Americas, and then chief operating officer. Now, in most cases, I had the fortune to report to great leaders and leaders that helped me grow, mature, develop in all dimensions. And in all cases, I learned a lot. So I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had. It's been a great journey, and I will do it all over again. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you, Andre. That's fantastic. And boy, that's quite a long list, and all at the same company, which we don't see as much today. So congratulations on your success to date. Let's go to Michael. Mike Morey. The topic is your definition of success. Please tell us how you define success.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My first thought was I don't have to worry about paying my bills anymore. That's a very good one. Really, my definition of success was to build this company over the years. And at the end, not sell to one of these financial outfits, but to do an ESOP program with our existing employees. It has turned out to be a wonderful deal for them. And that is my definition of success. Knowing that hundreds, hopefully, of employees will walk away with a really good retirement check. So I'm pretty proud of what we've done. I get right now they're up around 750 employees, and when we sold to ESOP, I think we're at 500. So you can see the growth they have created on their own. And probably glad to get rid of the old guy.
Well, Michael, thank you for that answer. You've built a wonderful company there, and I think it's great when employees have ownership. I think it makes all the difference in the world. You take a different attitude about work when you're an owner. And
Yes.
on the side, if I may add, thank you so much for you and your wife's gift of your auto collection, Northwood University, and the fantastic auction we were able to have. What a terrific gift for the university, and a tremendous gesture on your part. So I just wanted to give you a personal shout out for that, because I thought that was terrific.
Well, it made me, my wife, and I feel really good.
Fantastic, and thank you so much. Let's go moving on to Gina. Gina, the title of this is Imposter Syndrome. Ooh, I can't wait to hear this one. Have you ever felt like an imposter at work? Why do you think some people feel less secure? And what advice can you give to someone to help them feel more confident?
Thanks, Jim, and thanks for having me as a part of this group, and hello to everyone. I picked this question because honestly, I'm having a little bit of imposter syndrome right at this exact moment. And I thought it was important for the students to hear that. Even when Justin called me about this amazing honor, I almost said to him, "Are you sure you are the right person? Because I have a small company and I haven't had some of the more sort of worldly impacts that maybe some of the other honorees have had." And so I want students to hear that I think that you can have those moments at any point in your career. And then I really sat back and thought, kind of even to the previous gentleman's point, success has lots of different facets, right? Success, there's so many different aspects of success. And employing 90 people in the Western Upper Peninsula in sewing manufacturing, an industry that has largely gone to other countries, and being successful and growing it, I had to stop and take a minute and say, that is successful. That is an achievement. And so I think we get, with imposter syndrome in general, I think we get so caught up in comparing ourselves to other people where we don't know their story. Really, we just see, right? We see the headlines, we see the big flashy successes that get put in the news or on social media. We don't know the struggles or the challenges that went behind them. We assume that those people in the news always have the utmost self-confidence. And when we compare ourselves to other people, we're going to always end up finding in some way that we feel less than. And so I think my message to students is to stay centered in your own world, in your own reality, and in focusing on the successes you've had in your realm of the world. And it's not really about comparing to other people. It's about showing up every day, doing the best you can to make your corner of the world a better place. And so when I embraced all that, I felt great about joining this group today and in a month at the gala, and I'm just so honored.
Thank you so much, Gina, and it's a well-deserved honor, and you should definitely not feel imposter syndrome. You are welcome here, and of course deserving of it. Let's move on to Fred. Fred, the topic is characteristics of success. What characteristic trait do you value in successful people? Can you explain your thought to our audience?
Well, everybody, my big top of the list too are honesty and integrity. I feel you need those to have credibility, and if you don't have credibility, it's really hard to really move up the ladder, really have good success. When you think about yourself as individuals, when you make friends and build relationships, and everybody talks about the business world and and how important relationships are and building those. You want to build those with people that you know that you can their word and what they say, and that they're going to back up what they do, and they're people of, again, honesty and integrity. But I also think that there's some other important characteristics. Really believing in yourself and your goals. Like the first presenter talked about, he was really believed that he could pull it off. You got to be able to feel that way too. Of course, being positive and proactive always helps. Having the vision, which again has been talked a little bit about, but to really know, what you're going to do, and hopefully even have an end in mind, a purpose, for why are you doing all the things you're doing, and try to plan it from every angle you possibly can, both short term and long term. And of course, in this world today, IT skills, continuing to improve continuously your IT skills is so important. I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose all the time, trying to keep up with all of it. And there might be some sacrifices necessary to be successful also. And some of those have been commented on, but it's especially in those early years, especially if you're starting a business new, it means maybe you go without a paycheck for quite some time and make a lot of other personal sacrifices and long hours, but it's all part of it. And the better organized you are, the quicker you can move and the more you can accomplish. And discipline, being there every day. You got to be there at 7 o'clock, and you can't go home to 6 o'clock. You got to make a full day out of it, or your weekends are gone, or whatever sacrifice you got to make. It's all part of it. But then it takes courage to be able to dream about things you want to do and pull them off. So those are just some of the ones that come to my mind. And the other one I'd like to remind people about is investing in your health. Because you got to give a tip-top performance as a owner, manager, supervisor, or whatever. You need to be in good physical condition. So again, taking care of your health is important. And I would end with the life balance of family, work, and play. So that's plenty to chew on or try to accomplish as a list.
Thank you, Fred. I think I heard a theme kind of through all of those answers, and one of the themes I heard was leading by example. And I think you guys do a great job of that, and I think that's been pretty clear in listening to your responses so far. Let's go ahead and go through a second round, because we've got lots more questions that we have for you guys, and we're really enjoying hearing your input. So Grant, we'll come back to you. The topic is fear. Fear is at the root of so many barriers that people face. How can young men and women early in their careers overcome fear related to work? And what were you afraid of?
I think, like, first of all, I'm even motivated. If I was a student listening right now, after listening to all of these wonderful leaders and experts in me, better to take on the day. I would say, there's fear in everything, and it kind of goes with the risk. That's why I kind of took those two questions together, because like, it's tough. You obviously can't be scared, and I think, not to take what anyone else said, but if if your health's good, if you plan accordingly, if you have a clear direction, if you are committed to being there and being present and leading by example, all those things I think will help overcome fear. People have fear walking across the streets, driving to the store. But in business, of course there's fear. Especially starting a new business. Are you prepared not to take that paycheck? Are you prepared to make sure your employees are taken care of first? Are you prepared to work harder than everyone else? Lead by example. But I wouldn't let fear scare you, though. That's I guess my biggest message is, I think without fear, or without some type of thing, whether it's a mental it's something in your stomach, something telling you, you know, just, I would say, like, the words are probably not, are leaving me right now. As you know, I mean, you have fear in all different aspects of your career, but I think fear is a good thing. And I think, you know, how to overcome it is just making sure you have that vision and you have that clear direction. And you're not ego driven. You're not trying to compare yourself, as Gina mentioned very well, to others. You stick to what you do. And if you're learning every day, learning something new every day, trying to get better every day, pushing yourself to do more for your business, which in return will maybe better take care of your customers, or most importantly, better take care of your employees. You know, I think that fear will slowly go away. And I think without having a little bit of fear, you know, a lot of people can contest this, and everything we've learned at Northwood. I mean, most of the case studies you learn about and we studied, like, not a lot of them made it their first time around, you know? So it's not having that idea of giving up. And I would, you know, advise all the students not to give up and utilize the knowledge you've learned, and don't be afraid to take those challenges and to be open-minded is the biggest thing I would say. And, you know, make sure you are learning from your mistakes and learning something new every day, and never be afraid to surround yourself with better people. I always joked, even at General, I said, I'm fine with being the dumbest person in the room, you know. Like, I always like surrounding myself with better people, because that's how I learn and get better. And I love the knowledge that all different people bring to the table. And, you know, wherever you pick that up, it's all life experiences, and just be open-minded and make sure you note of it, and then find a way to turn that into something that works for you, you know, or your industry, I would say.
Thank you, Grant. You know, fear can be a motivator. It can also make you stop dead in your tracks. And so I think you're right. I think for our students, they really need to look for opportunities, and not just opportunities that feel comfortable. Being uncomfortable, I think, moves us forward. So thank you for your comments, and it's I think it's true across the board. Andres, let's go to you. And our next question is perfectionism. Do you agree that finished is better than perfect? A follow-up question to that would be for you to share what you would do if you had an extra hour in the day all to yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Innovation is critical for every business to perform, to compete, to win, to be sustainable. And in order to innovate, we need to be willing to take new things, to test new things. We need to be open to failure too, and accept that some things won't work. When we want to be perfect, we end up being very, very slow or paralyzed. And this happens to individuals and organizations too. So sometimes it is very difficult to foresee early on all the implication of a given innovation or change. So it is important, I think, for all of us to be willing to start with a set of assumptions and conditions that might be far from perfect, and learn and adjust along the way. Now, what I will do with an extra hour, which is the second part of your question, is enjoy more time with my family, put a lot more attention to the things that are really important in life, like the people I love, like the miracle of life and nature, like the beauty that is present all around us. So that's what I will do in an extra hour. Thank you, Jim.
Andres, thank you. That terrific answer. One thing I know I talk to my students about is your business plan, your concept, your idea. It's never going to be perfect. At some point, you have to launch. You have to just get going and see if it will work. If you wait for it to be perfect, it will just never happen. And don't we all wish we had an extra hour in every day to do exactly what you're talking about? That family life balance is so important. So thank you for that answer. Michael, we're back to you. characteristics of success. So you gave us your definition of success. What characteristic traits do you value in successful people? And can you explain your thoughts to our audience? So what successful traits do you value in success, or what characteristic traits do you value in successful people?
My feeling on that is successful people you could count on. They're honest. They do what they say they're gonna do. And to me, that makes a great business leader or a great employee. So, I guess that's about all I can say about it.
Well, I think that ties in nicely with what Fred talked about when he mentioned honesty and integrity, right? Honesty and integrity are important characteristics. And Mike, it appears that you agree with your comment there for sure. We all look for different characteristics in people, and certainly honesty and integrity better be at the top of the list, or we're probably going to have a more difficult time. Fred, Gina, let's move on to you with your next question. And this one's entitled Finding a Mentor. Please share if you had or have a mentor. How did that relationship come about? And what was most helpful in having a mentor?
Sure. I'm going to talk about two different relationships, one early in my career and one today. You asked another person the question about, the ladder versus the jungle gym. My career was two ladders. So I had my first ladder that was in one industry, and now I'm here. But early in my career, I worked for a nonprofit organization in Dallas, Texas. And I very serendipitously joined that organization right before it started to really grow. So I joined there was maybe 8 people in the office, and we had maybe 70 when I left a dozen years later, and had really, right when I came there, the executive director, a woman about maybe 12 years older than me, was the leader, and she was very charismatic and just a wonderful, wonderful leader who was able to pull people together and get disparate people pulling together for the same goal. And she really took me under her wing. So this was an instance where it was, my supervisor, my boss, really became my mentor. She saw so much potential in me from the minute I walked in that door, and allowed me to work alongside of her on some really big projects, and giving me, opportunities that maybe a 25-year-old shouldn't have had, or in most situations have. Giving me the responsibility for some really big, important things, and guiding me through that hands-on, in the moment as we were growing this organization together. And I ended up just developing and being, a vice president there when I left, of a large organization. And so having that, for me, having that hands-on in the moment, having a supervisor that is like, sees your potential, giving you opportunities, looking for training opportunities in the community for you to build your skills, that was just priceless. And if you are fortunate to look around wherever you work and looking for your manager, it doesn't even have to be your manager, it could be a coworker. Because I also had a lot of other coworkers there who were a little bit older than me, who had been doing the job a little bit longer than me, and they just were so warm and helpful in helping me grow. I'm also a fan that I think you should never stop learning, and so I've got we have 2 outside folks. They're like advisory board members for us. I mean, they're not an official fiduciary kind of board, but one of them in particular has grown a company our size into something much bigger. He offers a lot of expertise on sort of the marketing and growth side of things, which is where my joy and my love is. And like, I'm more of a marketing and sales focused CEO. And having, he's again the kind of person I can shoot a text to at any time. Hey, I'm struggling with this. I need your help. How have you dealt with this? Finding someone who's been through what you are going through, or who has had experiences that could link and support experiences you're going through, is just essential. And I have found, like, people are so willing to help you. I think sometimes you're afraid to ask for that support, for that mentorship, from someone outside of your organization. People love it. Ask if you can buy someone a cup of coffee and pick their brain and give, have them give you career advice. Mentors can be informal, they can be formal. Just soak up any expertise you can from people willing to give it, and there's a lot of people willing to give it.
Thank you, Gina. I'm going to ask you a follow-up there.
Sure.
So you've had mentors. Are you a mentor to anyone?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. I mean, there's some people here locally, right in our community that I've helped work through some as they've started their own business. Currently, there's a young woman who's a student at Michigan Tech who's working through some technology that would help with being able to sort of virtually try clothes on. So it's got a nice tie into our business. And so I've been working with her on and off as she's got her business as it's developing and as her technology is developing and giving her input. I might end up being one of her first customers. We'll see. That would be great too. But I'm definitely giving her feedback as she's developing that and working through the challenges of a startup, but also giving her the advice from a potential customer's role, what we'd be looking for in a service like that. So those are that's one that I'm kind of interacting with right now.
That's awesome. I know we never move away from those who mentor us, but it's a great opportunity when we get a chance to give back as
Yes,
well. And I know
exactly.
that can be very meaningful. So thank you. Fred, our next topic is risk taking. We're back to risk again. I don't know what that thing is with entrepreneurship and risk, but they do kind of go together. As a successful leader, have you had to take risks in your career? Would you mind sharing an example of a risk that you took and what you learned about yourself?
Well, interesting topic, and probably something that I'm sure no one on this call has ever done. I graduated from college. 10 days after I graduated, I bought a full-service car wash in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It was closed. But I had Dianne believe in myself and that I didn't want to do it. I thought for sure I could reopen that business and turn it around and make something out of it. So part of the sacrifice and risk of doing it, I literally had to move into that car wash and live there for 3 months while I worked on rebuilding the equipment and getting it back running it as a business. And so that's one example, I guess, of a huge risk I took. And again, with trying to make your funds go as far as they can and sacrificing on a lot of things that you maybe want to do. One I would say as far as risk is the second business, which is working for companies, the one that, of course, why I'm here now. A lot of the vendors wouldn't sell me because my competitors didn't want me to be successful or get a foothold in the marketplace. And so that was a tough uphill battle, but I had the confidence that over time I could win the marketplace and cut it in the.
I'm going to go ahead and jump back in. I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulty with Fred. I heard most of that, but again, risk is certainly a factor of entrepreneurship. That's fairly recognizable, I think, to everybody, and we appreciate. Fred, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty there, so I think we missed a little bit of that. If you just want to kind of wrap up the second part, I think I heard you had vendors who didn't want to sell to you.
Yeah, my major competitors in my market, Grand Rapids, Michigan, again didn't want me to go, so they let me get the that I wanted to distribute and stuff. So,
All right, I'm going to jump back in. Fred, it's not coming through real good, but we appreciate your answer. I'm going to move on to a question that we actually got off the chat. And I know that we have some family business folks here on our panel. So this is from Daniel Wynn, who's unable to attend. He says, how has it been being a family business owner? How has being a family business owner impacted you? So I know Gina and Grant that's a factor for you guys. Anybody who wants to jump in on this can jump in on this, but what kind of impact has being part of a family business had on any of you?
I'll jump in just quick. I mean, I think it's, you know, it's one of those things that on some days it's the most wonderful thing ever. And on some days it is the most frustrating thing ever. You know, on the one hand, you do know that, well, at least in my family situation, I know that those people ultimately will always have my back. I work with my sister and with my father, and my uncle actually as well. So on the, you know that you have someone who just really loves you and is going to be there, you know, is going to support you. On the other hand, it makes sometimes what would be a normal business decision in another company makes it a lot harder. You know, I know we all want to say we're not going to factor in personalities or, you know, particular people when we're making personnel decisions, but you just cannot erase that when it's a family business because you're thinking about Christmas and Thanksgiving and these events. My husband actually, when we moved back to the UP, my husband worked for us for about 18 months. And he finally came into my office and said, I can either work here or we can have happy Christmases. You pick, but we cannot have both. And so we chose happy Christmases, and he's off doing his own thing now. So I think there's another layer of both complication and real great love and support. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, some people just aren't built for it, but it's worked out well here.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else want to chime in on family business, Grant?
I'll jump in and say, the thing I like about the family business is the fact that it's kept everybody in living in the same area. We all live around Grand Rapids. I see them every day at work, and they're always there for all the holiday weekends together. That fact is a new business all close together and family. Came through.
Thank you, Fred. Grant, did you want to add something along those lines?
Yeah, you know, just, you know, growing up in a family business, you know, grandfather started it, been in business since the early 60s in 7 states, over 3,000 employees, you know, and I'm a third generation. And it definitely has its pros and cons. It's very, very tough. I've learned a ton from my father at a young age, and it was mainly all based around business. So I think you do have your pros and cons of separating it. As that company got so large, it became, you know, it comes to that point is just because your family doesn't maybe necessarily mean that's what you're set out to do or what makes you happy or anything like that. So to Fred's point, obviously my father loved having us all here around the area, you know. So I mean, it has its pros and cons, you know. It's very fortunate, you know, it instilled family first. That's why they built the company, you know, and to have the ability to spend more time with your family. And then I went and started a restaurant, and now met my wife, and she runs it with me. So went from my father, cousin, brother-in-law, and everything at our top levels to now just my wife and I. And that has its challenges, but it's very rewarding too. It's just finding a balance of separating it, you know, and making sure you can, you know, business is business and personal is personal. And yes, they do oversync and everything and do cross the lines, but being able to separate that and being able to have a productive disagreement, conversation, those tough things that do not affect outside of work, your family life. So yes, there are huge pros, you know, to it. But again, with just like anything, I mean, there can be challenges too. So I think as you grow a family business, I'd just be cautious if you're stepping into one that's been around for a while. Just make sure it's something that you're capable and passionate and your heart's in it, and that's what you really want to do, or do something else that makes you happy.
Thank you, Grant. I love that comment about passion, and I've heard it from each of you. I think passion is really important. To me, you want to get up every day and go do something you love. If you're not doing that, shame on you. Go find something that you love. And so clearly you guys are all doing that, and I think that's great. This is from Andrea Thompson. She's one of our MBA students, and I'll ask each of you to give a brief comment on this. She says, what is one habit you attribute to your success? And then as an example, she says, maybe it's making your bed every day. So what is one habit that you attribute to your success? Mike, let's start with you. What's one habit that you attribute to your success?
Well, I'm thinking when we were talking about perfection, my goal, we build wood chipping machines, and my goal was to get them perfect, where they always worked. We didn't have any problem. Of course, you know how that worked out. Then I learned never quit improving. You will never find a time with whatever product you're making to make it better. And that would be what I'd have to say about it. That's my habit, I guess. Always make the machines or whatever you're doing, building your company, building your employees, always make it better.
Awesome, thank you. Andres, how about you? What's one habit you attribute to your success?
I will say waking up every day with a passion for change. And when I look at a large corporation, obviously we have the opportunity to handle one small part of it as we start in these large companies. But change can be put in place in that micro world, and then you do it in the next level and the next level and in the next level, and you have the ability to do it all the way to the position you get to. From my point of view, change and innovation are enablers of growth, and it's personal growth, and it's corporate growth, and it's growth in all dimensions. So waking up every day with a passion for change and looking at things from that perspective drive very large transformations.
Awesome, thank you. Gina, how about you? What's one habit that you attribute to your success?
I would say I am not going to say I do it every single day, but a pretty consistent habit of documenting things I'm grateful for. I think having a gratitude practice is a huge mindset support. And even through, because I know that everyone on this call has had some really tough days in their business, really tough days. And I try to always circle back to those things I can be grateful for, and I really try to make a habit of writing those down every single day.
Great idea. Fred, how about you? What's one habit that you attribute to your success?
I would say being dependable. I mean, I think people can always count on me being there, always carrying my share of the load, being there to give all whenever, solve whatever problem or get any job done.
All right, thank you. And Grant, how about you?
Something I learned years ago, but I would say mindfulness, and it's a term Google uses a lot, but not acting on emotion and getting into the mind of why people react or do something a certain way. And what I mean by that is, like something might set you off, or you might come up with something in your day-to-day tasks or personal business, doesn't really matter. But taking that step back so your reaction can be productive and effective. and you're not just always, jumping off and basing everything off of emotions. So you can be, so you can get the most out of it. And I think that helps separate the personal business and everything aside. But I think just the mindfulness and try to get inside and understand, well, where is this person coming from? Why did they react this way? Whether it's an email, a comment. And I think that can go a long way with a lot of people.
Thank you. So Cole Briggs, one of our student presenters, presented a question that has about 7 parts. I'm not going to try for all 7 parts. I'm going to boil this down. And Cole, excuse me, I'm just going to pick one. And you can ask at the event in a month the rest of your questions. I will pick the part that says, how do you encourage others in your organization to communicate the core values that you have for your organization? And so let's start with Mike again on that one. How do you encourage others in your organization to communicate what your core values are?
I think you have to do it every time you have a meeting with a group of people or one person. Always continue to tell them why we're here. We're here to make a good product. We're here to take care of our customer. All of the things that make a business successful. You have to keep telling them that. Sooner or later, they believe you.
Excellent. Andres, how about you?
Yeah, for me, values are the base of the strategy of a corporation. Everything articulates, it comes together. So you have your vision, you have your goal, you have your ambitions, your priorities, your values are underneath. So every time you talk about either business performance or you talk about a strategy, you can always articulate to those values. And in the company, we have the strategy of the corporation in one single page. And at the bottom, you get the values. And we keep them visible that way for everyone. And we very often pull that page out and relate topics that are compelling at that very moment to what is in that page.
Excellent. Thank you. Gina, how about core values for you guys up in the UP?
Sure. One thing I'll add that I haven't heard from the other responses is we actually include our core values as a part of our employees' performance evaluation. So we talk about how, there's obviously more straight up performance and metrics that are included in that, but we talk to them about how we see them representing our core values in their interactions with each other, with our customers, with our suppliers, and our community. So I think by keeping it, we're really showing that it is important that we're looking for our employees to embody that, in their day-to-day work.
Awesome. Fred, how about you for core values?
Well, as a business owner, you're always underneath the microscope of your employees. And I think, again, to this thing by example, and you're always there to make whatever sacrifice necessary. So I think that integrity and come back to me.
Okay, thank you. And Grant, how about you?
I would just say 100%. Just being consistent. Day to day, you're leading by example. You're being direct, and I think at a certain point, everyone gets on board. They follow, or you need to make a change. But I think that consistency on a day to day, in and out basis really helps cement those values into your business and into everyone else's day to day work.
Yeah, so what I think I heard there is you have to live out your values. It can't be something on a bulletin board and you just expect people to read them. And it has to be lived out from the top. And I think that we heard that from you guys. I do have a specific question for Gina, because this comes from one of our Northwood fashion students. Do you have a student fashion, or did you have a student fashion show or something similar when you were in school? And did you think it helped you or inspired you to do what you're doing today?
So I did not study anything to do with fashion in my in my school. So I was actually, I have a strange degree. My degree is in arts administration, so it's kind of like a business degree with a arts component, and I was a musician. That was my art form. So no, I didn't have any background in fashion. I happen to be one of those people who is has pretty good instincts for a lot of things. And so I you know, for the first couple years when I came back here, I kind of muddled along figuring out fashion as we went. Now we have someone who did go to school for it and is more experienced. So I would take that as a lesson, though, that what you study in school does not have to limit what you can or can't do in your career.
Okay, great comment. And by the way, our fashion showcase will be a week from this coming Friday. So if you happen to be in the Lower Peninsula, we'd love to have you stop by our fashion showcase. You've probably been invited, but if not, I figured I'd take the opportunity to let you know we'd love to have you down for that. I've got a couple more specific questions off the chat. So Mike, you and Dianne worked together to build Bandit Industries. How important was it? How important was it for you to support your local community? And what advice would you give students who are going to build careers in new communities?
My wife and I have always felt from day one, very important to support your community. And we have done that every time we could. I remember the first time I was asked, Chamber of Commerce, a friend of mine said, Mike, we want you to join the Chamber of Commerce. And I said, well, that's one of my goals, but I don't really think I should be using borrowed money from the bank to start my business and use it to join your chamber. And he laughed. He said, well, I agree with you. Anyway, I joined soon after. And we have had a ball supporting our community. And I think they all would tell you that they love us for it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. So we're almost out of time. I got one more question I want to ask Andres from our chat box, and then I'm going to do a wrap up. So Andres, you've remained extremely loyal to your OI your entire career. What have you learned about loyalty, and how do you encourage that loyalty with employees now that you are leading the organization?
Well, OI is a company of has great history. We've been manufacturing a product that has great attributes even today. It's been in place as a company for 120 years. It continues to transform itself to recreate the glass container industry, and it offers plenty of opportunities. I had the chance to walk into this organization at the lowest level. I was given the opportunity to change things. As I did that, I was given another opportunity, and again and again and again. Even today, 40 years later, a lot of what I do is transformation, is change and transformation. So that for me is extremely exciting. Creating the new is something that motivates me a lot, and this company has provided that to me. That's why, as I said at the beginning, even though it's been 40 years and obviously had some challenges too, I'll do it all over again.
That pretty much says it all, right? If you've loved it so much, you do it again. I did want to give a special shout out to Fred. Fred, I wanted to let everybody know, is on a cruise and is taking the time out of his cruise to participate. We've had a couple technical difficulties, but really appreciate the effort that you made to be part of today. I actually want to thank all of you, Grant, Baidas, Fred Bunting, Andres Lopez, Mike and Dianne Morey, and Gina Thorsen. You're giving up your time to be with us today is so great for our students to hear. Your stories are awesome. The things that you've been able to accomplish and the ways that you've been able to accomplish them is special. I would also like to thank our students, staff, and guests for attending today's symposium and taking their time out. And then I want to promote 1 month from today, Saturday, April 15, 2023, at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. We will honor our outstanding business leaders at a gala where the student presenters will present them, and we will hear some additional comments from them. The reception starts at 6:30. Dinner is at 7:30 along with awards. And then at 9 p.m. we have Driving America reception, a Detroit-inspired dessert afterglow. If you're interested in tickets, you can go to www.northwood.edu/OBL/awards, or you can contact Jen Carpenter, carpenterj@northwood.edu. This is going to be a terrific event. I'm really looking forward to attending and hearing more from these special honorees. It will be a night to remember. So if you have the opportunity to come down to the Henry Ford Museum, we would love to see all of you there. And we're really looking forward to hearing more from our special guests and our Outstanding Business Leader Award honorees. Thank you so much for being with us today.